He's like out to kill her. Ow. 5 of them are currently out. There's a few books that made me want to go hide in the closet, and it's like the best feeling ever. I don't know what that says about me. The guy had an absolute filthy mouth. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first impression of me, then welcome. We are probably going to be a little bit chaotic because this is our first ever, yes, ever, well, of course it's March. This is our first ever book reading wrap up on YouTube, and it is going to be March, which I cannot believe March has already happened. I am mostly a romantasy reader, but I do read a few contemporaries and like some unhinged books here and there. Read a total of, I actually don't know. Sorry, I had to count. We read 9 books and 1 was a DNF. Yeah, we have actually more than one doozy in this list, unfortunately. Anyways, I'm also going to be at the end of this go through the books that I'm going to read for April, because I am a little bit of a chronic mood reader and I do not have a list long enough to actually create a full video for it. So we're just gonna tack her on into the end of this list. Without further ado, let's do this while I get ready with you. And where am I going, might you ask? Nowhere. I'm going absolutely nowhere. I'm just literally going to the post office and going to film some content. So everybody grab your glass of wine, grab some snacks. Without further ado, let's do this, hey? Everybody knows how to write a hot daddy romance like Miss Elsie Silver. It was one of my most anticipated reads for the year, and it disappointed, but it also didn't. I both loved it, and at the same time I was like, not my favorite. This is actually book 3 in Elsie Silver's Rosehill series, an interconnected standalone series. I won't go through too much on what they're actually about because I don't want to accidentally spoil things for anybody, but I will tell you that it has really, really good found family. The enemies to lovers was pretty damn good, especially for a contemporary romance, and I read some real enemies to lovers with fantasy romance. I did actually do this on Spotify audio, and it was dual narration, which was really good. I do prefer duet, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So I got some brand new brushes they're the Morphe / Ariel brushes, and they're really good. I've been using them for about maybe a week and a half now, and I actually really, really like them. They like came in like a huge set. I still haven't got like the foundation brush 100% down, but the rest of them are pretty good. The whole series is like single dads, and I do really love how Elsie Silver made this book. It was pretty much showing that single dads can come from unconventional ways and families can be made in unconventional ways. I really loved the hard topics and hard discussions that she had in this book. I felt like it was really important, and she handled them with a lot of care. I did a really, really great job of that. However, as an Australian, I think his job title, I will not spoil it for anyone, I just think that it did me no favors because it kind of gave me the ick, and I don't know if that like put me off for the rest of the book, but I just didn't vibe with his job, and that was like a huge part of it. Like, truth be said, the guy had an absolute filthy mouth, so I can't really complain when it comes to that. Apart from my personal hiccup, I still really did enjoy this. It was really well done. I'm not going to take that away from Miss Elsie Silver. I gave this a 4.5 rating on the stars. I gave it a 3 on the chili scale. I gave it a 4.5 on audio. So it's still a really good rating, honestly. I wouldn't be complaining. For a fantasy romance, we have Avidian by Ashley O'Donovan. Book 1 in the Demon and the Savior series. I don't actually know how many books. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I think it's going to be 3. It could be possibly 4, but the author did say that it was 3. Dystopian fantasy romance. These are making such a comeback in 2025. It is going to be the year of dystopian and post-apocalyptic fantasy romances. You count your books on it. I don't know what to say here. Just trust me. Had forced proximity. The MMC was such a morally grey man. He was also the biggest flirt ever. Kept me up at night. Like, I literally could not read it at night because I thought I was going to actually have a panic attack. I buddy read this with my friend Miranda, which is probably off reading, and we had the actual funnest time reading it together. How good does this new bronzer brush put the bronzer on? Honestly, so much better than my old ones. I did read this as an advanced reader arc, and the male main character actually gave me like Damon Salvatore and Stefan Salvatore vibes, like mixed up together. A female FMC, Katya, she could actually see a ghost, essentially a slave for this really asshole dude, and it's kind of like Hunger Games dystopian world. So like in Hunger Games, how they had the districts, like the really rich ones, it doesn't have trials, but like that's the kind of like dystopian world setting that I was sort of like envisioning. Obviously it is described well. That's just sort of like the vibe. If I'm explaining it to you, that's what it gave me. And then this guy's family members kind of get like unalived, and then she, Katya, has to like go investigate these murders because she can find out all the information. What she finds out sometimes leads to her getting in like real big trouble. It could literally like probably cause her to end up in the grave. Did I mention that she actually has like a ghost dog as well? On top of being a romantasy, we have like an underlying murder mystery going on, which I felt so entertaining, hence the hiding in closets scenario. Honestly, there's a few books that made me want to go hide in a closet, and it's like the best feeling ever. I don't know what that says about me. Literally, do not let the cover fool you, because it is in fact not a spaceship. I don't actually want to spoil what it is. Once you get it, you get it. I was like full, that's not a spaceship. I felt so stupid, and I don't want to ruin that for anyone, but I think that you guys will like, you'll gasp. One of the funnest books that I have read in some time. I like read it in 24 hours potentially, and every chapter kind of like delivered a little bit of a snippet of information. They were called the world orders. I don't know, I just really love it when books just have this little prefix of information. Ever since I read When the Moon, was it When the Moon Hatched? Right, When the Moon Hatched, you know, those big books, they do it as well, and I think that is so entertaining. A little bit different. It's still not like a common thing that's done, and it gives you like a little bit more context to the story. Probably, I don't know if you can hear my dog Franklin, but he is snoring. He is actually snoring. He's currently got like one of those blue cones on his head. I'll insert a photo here, because he cut his paw and he just like does not give a single fudge cake about it. But because he keeps pulling the vet tape off, he needs it covered up because I don't want him to get infected. I do not really have a bad thing to say about this book. I know that when we read book 2, we're going to get a lot more background and a lot more information into the world building. This unfortunately is an incomplete series, guys. I'm really sorry if I didn't mention that earlier. But just because something is an incomplete series doesn't mean that you shouldn't start it right away. You know, I get FOMO. I'm sure everyone else probably gets FOMO. And yes, the book did leave on a cliffhanger. What book doesn't leave on a cliffhanger these days? I enjoy cliffhangers personally, because if it doesn't leave on a cliffhanger, there's nothing that's like engaging me to read the next book. If you were a girlie who loved those 2000 Divergent Hunger Games books, then this is definitely going to be for you. And love it when I hit my own self in the head. Definitely check this one out. Very much highly recommend it, and I will, it's gonna be a staple in the books that I recommend. It's really different, and the cover is gorgeous. Hold on, I'll pull it out for a second. It's beautiful blue. I really love it. I love the blue cover. Unfortunately, my bookshelf is just so dark. There's no color on my bookshelf because it's all fantasy romance books, and they tend to be all really dark. Right, for a fantasy romance, I'm still going to consider it a fantasy romance even though it's dystopian, because I think that it still kind of like falls under that big umbrella genre. I should put it back now. What did I rate it? I gave it a 4.5 stars, and I gave it a 2 chili pepper because the like spice was like a little bit more emotional. And the build up was definitely more of the focal point rather than the spice of the book, which I love a spicy book, but I also really love it when the spice isn't like full on like the focal point, which I didn't think that it was. Frank, come here. Come on, join me on the seat. Up you get. Up. God, you're an idiot. Charlie. Mwah. Oh my god, guys. I love you both. There's my babies. Okay, the next one is a doozy. There is kind of no way to go about it, and I am not someone who likes to talk negatively about books, but I guess this is probably the only place that I will actually describe how I feel about them and Goodreads, because I'm not really for completely preaching about the books that I don't like. I would love to know what you guys want. Do you actually want me to talk about them, or do you not want me to talk about them? Because I really don't like spreading hate about books, especially books that are by indie authors. I'm the first person to chuck Powerless and call it crap. Sorry. I feel like that book is such a big book that what I say will not negatively affect how people view the book. I do worry about smaller books. Don't want my opinion to hurt that book. It is probably for other people and maybe just not for me. Please let me know what you guys think. I would really appreciate the advice on that one. Look at this. Pookie also got some new eyeshadow. It's just brown eyeshadow. It's nothing special. Wait, what? Oh my gosh, it looks like you can... Wow. Sorry guys, I know this is about books, but this is like a reusable eyeshadow palette. Love this. It's from Sephora. The brand is Sephora. And the color is Mocha Latte. And I rate being able to refill it like that. I wonder if you can refill it. I will find out. Maybe. Oh, Forsaken King by Penelope Barsetti. I am sorry if I'm butchering that. Vibes were just not there. I had this planned for our book club read for the month of March. And I picked this one. I was a little bit mad about it. I was a little bit salty about it. And like I said, I don't want this to be hate or anything, but it did have no trigger warnings. I will say that I asked the author for trigger warnings and she did give me a list of them, and I was able to post it to our Facebook club that me and my bestie Kayla hold. If you want to join, I will include the link in the bio. But it's a really fun place. I have like the book of the month that we read, and we also just like talk about other things, book recommendations, what we're reading. I feel like it's a really cute community space. I love it. Personally, I think it's awesome. I think it's one of my favorite book clubs that I've been a part of, but I'm biased. I am biased. If you're a book club member, let me know what you think. Personally, I do not have a single trigger warning, but I still believe that every book should need trigger warnings. And this was dark. Like, I'm talking non-consent, dubious consent, and some grape. This 100% needed trigger warnings. This is also a dark fantasy, and it is a completed trilogy, might I add. Which is one of the reasons that it was attracted to me in the first place. The ratings from book 2 to book 3 are like extremely high, like on kind of codex high. I don't know what I can say, I'm sorry. So high that I was like, surely this must be amazing. Unfortunately for me, it just was not. So much spice without there being spice. Lots. There was lots of it, but at the same time it wasn't very, I guess it wasn't very descriptive. It didn't feel very spicy, even though there was like spice every other chapter. So what it's about pretty much is a princess who her family murdered his family, and then he captures her, takes her to like these underground establishment, which is kind of like a big village that's off the side of a mountain cliff, and then they just get it on. And then they go on a little like side quest for like a few chapters, and then they come back from said side quest. I have a very detailed Goodreads review on this book. It's very detailed. It felt like as a dark fantasy, unfortunately, it just did not feel like the dark aspects actually hit the mark. What I loved, a very good premise. Like, they had some really interesting creatures, like yetis in it. There's some mysterious disease. And I did admit that the first 50% of it had me hooked, and maybe it does get better throughout the series. For me personally, I didn't want to continue reading it. I was continuously waiting for this jaw-dropping twist and this jaw-dropping moment to justify said great bits, and it just unfortunately didn't happen, and that's ultimately why I decided to not continue the series. Although I will say that actually some people in the book club did really enjoy this. I ended up giving this a 2.5 star. It was a 3 chili spice book, because even though I felt like it wasn't that descriptive, I still feel like there was a lot of spice that probably needed to be 3. There was audio for it. I just personally did not vibe with the narrator, which sometimes that happens. Ended up eyeball reading this one. Yeah. This next one, I definitely got forced into reading this by my book bestie, Kayla Books. I'm sending her my therapy bill because it was Magnolia Parks. Simultaneously loved and hated this book. It was like one of the most toxic book I have ever read. Ever. Temporary romance. It is book 1 in a 6-book series. Only 5 of them are currently out. I'm so sorry. The series follows 2 sets of different couples. The first couple is Magnolia and BJ. They have 3 books out. Personally, Magnolia is my favorite character to ever exist. She was like ironically funny. I love her. London gossip girl. You think of Chuck Bass and Blair Waldorf? that is literally BJ and Magnolia. You do definitely need to check the trigger warnings on this. So I'm going to give you like a warning to like just to quickly cover your ears if you don't want to hear this, but I don't think that it's a spoiler because I think that you do need to go into the series knowing that this does happen. But I'm going to say it right now, there is cheating. Yearning is absolutely spectacular in this series. I did listen to most of these on audiobook. I also read along with the books, and the audiobooks was so well done. They have British accents in it, was so cool. The only complaint I will have to say about a British accent is I can't listen at 3 times speed. I can only like listen at 2 times speed because otherwise I cannot understand what they said. Like the current book that I'm like in the middle of reading, I'm listening to it like 3.5 because the narrator's voices are so clear. It's an actual experience. It is a long, drawn out, emotional experience. And a lot of people are gonna say, why is this series so long? Why do we need to listen to so many books? And the author has said that back in the days of like the 2000 TV shows, that series was so long that you formed emotional, deep connections to the characters. And I will 100% back her on that because I have formed such probably maybe a borderline unhealthy relationship with Magnolia. BJ, on the other hand, I don't know how I feel about him yet. I just don't know. Spoiler alert, I've not finished this series yet. I did end up giving Magnolia Parks 5 stars and 1.5 spicy. For the spicy, they're very much fade to black, but a lot of it is insinuated. So it's insinuated that they kiss, it's insinuated that they have sex. The audiobooks get a 4.5 for me because I thought that they were absolutely spectacular. The only thing that could have made them 5 stars if they were duet narrated, but they were actually dual. So it means that each character's POV is narrated by that character. It isn't like a talking conversation like duet. And then we get into book 2 of Magnolia Parks, which is Daisy Haites. One is like a mafia romance. It's dual timelines. Even though it's different characters, you do have to read her books in order to get to the next Magnolia Parks books. Daisy is still a great character. I just personally did not connect with her as much. This isn't a spoiler. Her love interest, Christian, a total green flag. Probably the only, well, they're all toxic. He's probably the only green flag in the entire series because they are all so fudging toxic. So if you've read the Magnolia Park series, then let me know what you think. Did you love Magnolia Park? Did you love Daisy Haites? Did you love them both the same? For me personally, I am a Magnolia Park stan, and the Daisy books are kind of like, meh. It's kind of like giving meh to like addicted. Like I can't put them down. I did actually put them down, but that was a book slump. 4 stars and 1.5 chili pepper, and audio is the same for the whole series. It's a 4.5. I did finish book 3, which is Magnolia Parks Long Way Home. Second book of Magnolia Parks, but the third book overall in the series was fantastic. Very heartbreaking, very tragic. Had me bawling my eyes out and questioning my sanity. I will spoil it for you if I talk anything else about it. Even if I tried, I would not be able to give you a good enough excuse for why I read this. Actually, yes, I can. I can blame someone. I can blame probably off reading my friend Miranda because we did a book swap and this is one of the books I sought with her. It's called Stuff by the Were Turkey. I did not think 15 pages could be that bad. Boy, was I fudge cake wrong because it was actually that bad. She is a vegan and she has gone off to the essentially like the Butterballs farm. She ends up seeing this turkey and going, oh, I need to save it. So she runs from the turkey farm to save this turkey, takes it home live, puts it in her bathroom. She goes, it's Thanksgiving, I gotta go make dinner. So she goes to go make dinner and then she hears all this sound coming from the bathroom. So then she goes to the bathroom, all gets in the bathtub, and then all of a sudden there's something behind her and it's not just a turkey anymore, it's a spoiler, half turkey, half human, and you can imagine what happens next. I thought I'd read everything. I thought I had read everything until I read this, but honestly, truly, I think that I've lost my sanity and I feel like I just have absolutely no boundary. I did not leave any rating on this. I then proceeded to get multiple of my friends to read this after just so I could have a laugh with them, and I can confirm it's a funny memory, one that I will probably never forget. Game enough, try it, and if you do read it, come back to me and let me know that I'm absolutely nuts for making you read that. We can like all be like traumatized and bonded together. This is also the Maybelline Falsies mascara. Best mascara if you have straight lashes and you need them to curl properly, because my lashes will only stay up with waterproof mascara. The North Queen by Nisha Tyke was actually one of my favorite reads of this month. So this is book 1 in the Crowns trilogy. It is completed. A romantic fantasy. It means that the fantasy element is a little bit more before the romantic. It still ends up in a happy ever after, and it's still very much romance focused. It just means that it's a little bit more plot heavy and medieval fantasy, sorry. There's old historical vibes by also being like a tad magical. It really reminds me of like Game of Thrones in a way, if I'm being entirely real. Especially where you've got like those horse tribes, and then you've got like the castle environment. There's no dragons in it yet that I know of. Same in-depth vibes, but there is also a romantic relationship in it. She's disappeared for an entire 3 years, loses her memories, and then is found by her royal court, and then has to go back to the court, navigate that, and then she gets captured by somebody. That's all I'm gonna say. Very hard sometimes to explain the plot of a fantasy romance or romantic fantasy without spoiling the entire book. Have enemies to lovers, arranged marriage, yeah, political maneuvering. This is a rare beauty blush, also by the way, in the shade Hope. The series is done in third person limited, which to me personally is one of my favorite ways to experience these really high political fantasies, is to have that third person point of view, but also from that, like, limited means it's just from that character's perspective. Alex, one of the main characters, gave me very much Hunt from Crescent City vibes, and Mikhail gave me Falcon vibes. So I do not know who we're going to end up with. I am currently in the middle of book 2 of this series. Found this on the depths of Reddit when I was looking for books that gave similar vibes to Heartless Hunter. This is what it brought up. It's nothing like Heartless Hunter, but the tension and the romance is definitely there. But I also feel like you've got a really plot-forward, plot-driven story. Sorry. Pacing was also just done. Oh my gosh. No. I dropped my concealer. Ow. Oh, this is not my day, guys. Note to self, don't ever break the lid of your concealer because it causes a lot of drama. Pacing in this series is done really well. I currently have convinced a few of my friends to read it, and they are liking it just as much as I did, so it makes me feel like I'm not crazy. The reason why I haven't finished book 2, I'm currently in the middle of it, is because I've been in a little bit of a reading slump as of late, which we'll kind of get to a bit more later. A lot of moments in this that felt unique. It didn't feel like every other fantasy. So far in book 2, don't have a great deal of like actual magical elements, but anyone who's read the Bridge Kingdom series, that series has like no magic in it, but it feels magical. The world feels brilliant, and I guess this is kind of the same vibe that it is giving me, in the sense that it feels amazing and it feels magical without it actually being heaps of magic. But there is a lot of political maneuvering in this, which is, it's a nice change of pace. I did end up giving this book a 5-star, 2.5 for the spicy rating, because I felt like it was, again, a little bit more emotions were the focus, but I do think we'll get maybe a little bit more spice in book 2. I guess we will see. The audio I rated 4.5. Forgive me and still trust me, but I do love a little monster romance on the side, and this one I did do the book swap, proper book swap with properly off reading. So Miranda read Stalked by the Kraken, and I read The Dragon Bride, which apparently is like the OG monster romance. So this is part of an interconnected standalone series. Each book in the series is part of the same world, but each character has their own start to finish conclusion on their story. The bargains, breeding without pregnancy, mine, because you know a dragon loves his treasure. It has 2 assets, guys. Dragon, like unspoken fantasy rule that all dragons have like 2 appendages. Where did that come from? Because I have in fact read 3 dragon books now, and all of them have pocket appendages. So first it's like a pocket, and then they're like, there's like 2 of them. I just don't understand. Why do they have 2? Like, he's literally Dragon Shrek, like, literally. It was hilarious and it was entertaining. It's under 200 pages. And I think that it's one of those books that just such a damn good time. Like, if you need your first real monster romance, I'm not talking about a shifter monster, I'm talking about real monster, then I think this is a really good book to read. It's very cute. It's well paced. It's not, like, it's spicy, but it's not, like, outlandishly outlandish. It can't speak. Outlandish? It's spicy, for sure. but it's not going to be like absolutely overwhelming. It is a gateway to the monster romance world. It will be 100% convincing many of my friends to read this. So look how good these brushes are, like genuinely. Her husband is kind of like an abuser. To kind of get away from this, creates a bargain with a literal devil. She will go over into their world for 7 years, has a choice in all of this, and there's no forcing her to do anything. All that is requested of her is that she's given the opportunity to be wooed by whatever suitor this demon sees fit. What she gets out of it is her dirty old husband gets knocked off the perch. I ended up giving it a 3.5 and a 4. Okay, I lied. I gave it was spicy. I gave it a 4 spicy rating, and I gave the audio a 4-star because it was really good. I didn't think it was that spicy, but it was spicy, obviously. Like, it was spicy, but it isn't, I think, because he has like a second appendage that I had to put in like the super spicy. Unfortunately, we had a DNF this month as well. I like DNFing books. I'm happy to put a book down at 90% if I don't like it, because why waste time reading shit books? Will not happen on my watch. It was Kingdom of Villains by Ella Fields, and necessarily think that it's a really bad book by any means, but don't let one book put you off an entire author, because I have read her Amid Cloud and Bones and I absolutely adore it. I must mention that this is a standalone fantasy romance book with dragons. Actually, the audio could have been the issue on this. The male narrator's voice was very young, and he was trying to portray, I felt like, a little bit of an older character who was deep, dark, and brooding, and his voice was kind of giving like a guy that was in like college, I guess you could say, or a fantasy romance character that was like at the age of like 22. That's the voice that he was giving, and didn't really get into it, which is really unfortunate. I will read more books by this author, because I do actually think that she's a great author and does fantastic fantasy romance standalones. I just personally just don't think that this one was for me, and I am in a little bit of a slumpy mood. So yeah, sometimes this you can't win them all, guys. Can't win them all. This month got a little unhinged. It got a little bit unhinged, but I did a Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. He has an appendage that looks like a rose with tentacles. Actually, what convinced me to read this book. I know it's pretty popular, but I looked at a Reddit thread that like had like unhinged books, and that's what it said. I was like, yeah, maybe I'm sold. This is book 1 in the Dustwalker Brides, which is a series of interconnected standalones. This is a monster romance too. Like, it is actually a monster romance. I'm trying to explain what the story is. I don't know if I can do it with a straight face. Each time the wars start to fail, they sacrifice someone from their village to these dusk walkers. That's what these things are called. Maria here is sacrificed to the monster because their village kind of thinks that she's a bad omen, married off to him, or do whatever the hell he wants with her. It's extremely cute. If anybody has read a monster romance, it is not as unhinged as you think. Hinged in like a dark romance way. The men normally in a monster romance, they're like green flags. They just have normally freaky appendages or actual monsters. He has a skull. He has a skull. Repeat that. He has a skull. Also duet narrated, which made it like such a fun and enjoyable experience. Times a monster romance is just something that you need to like warm up to. First I started with like shifter monsters because I thought, hey, if they can shift back into humans, that's fine, right? Now I can read whatever, and it's so much fun. I love it when I read it with friends because I feel like they're really enjoyable, fun, cute romances to read, and they're not heavy. Now let's get on to what I'm reading next. What is on my April TBR? I am literally the most chronic mood reader ever, and I try my best to like stay on top of the books I want to read, but if I'm just not feeling it, it's just not going to happen. I'm in the middle of book 4, or Daisy Haites, which is the Magnolia Park universe, and I'm also, which is kind of getting me out of the slump, in the middle of Us Darkview, which was recommended to me by a few of my mutuals. So I was like, okay, this has got to be the one to get me out of the slump. I'm going on day 4 reading it, and there's nothing wrong with the book, and it is getting me out of my slump. I'm just like, it's been a slow progress. So this is a post-apocalyptic romantasy. It says it's young adults, but to me it actually reads new adult because there has been like a smidgy of spice. And in it, there's like, you need to check your trigger warnings on this. Like, for real, there's mention of like, I'll put the trigger warnings right here on the screen. You tell me and read these if you think that this is suitable for a young adult book, because I absolutely do not think that it is. I would not let a 16-year-old read this book. So far, it's really good. And I do think dystopian books are 100% making a comeback in 2025. Nuclear bombs have gone off and they all live underground. She's done something bad, gets sent to jail. The next book up in the docket, which hopefully my mood reading tendencies don't get the best of me, is Blood Magic by Pagan Alexandria. So the author actually reached this out to me and to read it as the ARC. It does release the 16th of April. Sleeping Beauty meets Rapunzel, which really excites me. I love a new princess or like, you know, fairy tale remix to be. He's a vampire hunter and then has to find the cure for vampirism. It's also set in an academic setting. It has vampires, witches, and like some other supernatural creatures as well. I have Empire of Flames and Forms, which is by Marion Blackwood. I have actually read her other series, Ruthless Villains, and it was so much fun. It's such a good time. It's a really good villain love story. One of my besties, Kayla, has actually read this and convinced me to read it. So it is true enemies to lovers. Dragon shifters. He's the commander, she's Faye, and he's like out to kill her. We also have some like ruthless trials in here, which who doesn't love a good trial? I do love a good dragon shifter romance. There's a pretty good chance I will read it if it has dragons in it. A little bit of a dragon connoisseur of sorts. I don't actually have any hairspray, which is really sad. I lost my current hairspray. Don't know where. I didn't go anywhere, but I've lost it, which I'm really sad about. The only contemporary romance that I do actually plan on reading this month is First Time Call Up. I can't remember the author's name, I'm sorry. It has been doing the rounds on BookTok and it just looks amazing. The audio apparently is really good as well. She is a radio presenter for like a failed radio station, and she has a kid, and the kid calls up the radio station trying to get mum on a date, and because it does so well, they end up getting the mum to come to the radio station and like holding a few podcasts with her. That is literally all I know about it. Friend Esther has been absolutely raving about this book, so I'm like, I have to read it. And I've heard a few other creators that I love really enjoy it as well. Traders of Eden by Haley Boyle. I don't know what it's about. Sometimes I like to have one book for the month that I'm going to go in completely blind with, and this is the one. Looking on Reddit for a book that kind of had the same vibe and feel as Feather So Vicious did, and this is what came up. I have no idea if it's any good. It doesn't have many reviews, but I'm hoping it's going to be like one of those little secret hidden gems. This ends up to be something amazing. Literally how I stumbled across Feather So Vicious is just being on Reddit, and then obviously that book has become really damn popular. So I'm hoping it's the next Feather So Vicious, because I think that book is so damn dark, but it's also like has a really good storyline. Thank you everyone for getting ready with me and going through my March reads. Make sure to let me know what your favorite read in March was, and also make sure to subscribe and potentially watch the previous video because I have one now. Anyway, bye.